back, everyone, to the Flyin podcast. I am here tonight with two gentlemen that decided to wear the same jersey without telling me. For those who are listening on Spotify, Sam and Kevin are rocking the orange kits from a couple years ago. Sam, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, doing good, especially, now that Kevin and I are rocking the same kits. This is going to be a good podcast episode for sure.
And doing good too. Honestly, just glad FC's back in the win column. And it's going to be a good week. Started off with that, and hard to go wrong from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like it changes your whole perception of the week. I hate to say that my weeks depend on how FC does, but the last couple of weeks were not fun. So, guys, we're back in the win column. This is going to be a fun podcast. We had match day number 9, 2-1 win over Atlanta in Atlanta. We're going to recap you on this game. We got a good trivia question related to some turf. Sam, I believe, had a good one. And then later on in the episode, we'll do our cards of the week again, some jersey swaps. We're going to get Kevin's take on another Kevin that's joining FC Cincinnati. So Kevin is back for the Kevin podcast. It's perfect timing. But then we're going to, recap a little bit of the youth. So we had FCC2 and the U17s had a good win. And then we're going to give you a preview for our game coming up this Saturday against Colorado. So really excited to talk about this one. Like I said, we're back in the win column. Going down to Atlanta, we had kind of some mixed feelings. We didn't know how we would fare. For all those who had seen a Twitter poll that we put up this past week, I believe 56% of people thought that in this next stretch of 5 games, FC Cincinnati was only going to get about 9 or 10 points out of these games. Guys, we got 3 points in this game. Sam, going into this game and first part of the game, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts obviously return for Khan and Robinson specifically. Robinson spending what 7-8 years in Atlanta, which is pretty crazy to think because Atlanta's only been around since 2017, right? But yeah, that was my initial thought was how are these guys going to impact the game? And then you see, when the starting lineup is rolled out, we can get into that. I mean, we saw Khan right at the goalkeeper position, and then you see Orlando, Robinson, Miazga. The big surprise in the back. I know we had talked about this during the game. Haglin, Haglin on turf. That'll be a big talking point as we get further in the game. But then we had Yedlin, Buka, Obi, Acosta, Kubo, and then Barrett up top. But yeah, that big question mark was Haglin in the back. Kevin, what do we think about that?
I don't love that move. He's got history of lower body injuries, and I feel like turf's just a killer. I mean, you hear it from athletes from every sport, not just soccer. Seems like playing on turf's just horrible. I haven't been on it much myself, but I feel like if that many professionals are saying it's bad, it's probably not a great thing. And then you put someone who's injury prone on it, it's just doesn't seem like a good recipe for success.
Especially coming off of a major injury, a big surgery too. He's had 2 games this year where he started on turf, and I don't know how that wears on your body, especially coming out of a surgery like that too on your hamstring. We'll get into that a little bit later here, but guys, the other big thing that we saw was a new pairing at our striker position with Kubo and Baird. That was a big point of contention, or something that all the FCC fans were like, man, message sent to Aaron Bupenza, really. Is it a wake-up call? In some aspects, I think Laura had even tweeted out, is this more of a message to him, or does Bupenza want to play on turf? I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, you see Kubo, you see Baird there. Baird hadn't started the last several games, so it was good to see him back out and creating chances early. So we get into the 9th minute, and guys, DeAndre Yedlin had a good game, in this Atlanta game. He has a nice cross. He's cutting back from the end line to Baird, who just puts it wide. We could have been up in the first 9 minutes, which is exactly what we wanted and what we had been calling for the past several podcasts, was just a hot start. So at least we had a good chance with that. And then, shortly after that, Atlanta comes right back at us. There was a counter kind of press. Their guy chips the ball over, maybe a miscommunication with Can and with Miazga. It leads to Miazga heading it right to the Atlanta guy for a point blank save by Can. So it was a really back and forth open game to start this. I know we were all watching together, but I think we all thought the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, with that first chance with Baird, I think after that chance, you kind of knew like, oh, geez, this is going to be one of those games for Baird where he's going to have every chance in the world. And it's exactly what it ended up being. He hit the post, and what was it, once or twice, at this point. And my goodness, he can't catch a break. But then on the other side, can honestly he stood on his head in this game. He did really well. Saved a lot of great chances for Atlanta. One towards like the 90th minute as well later on in the game. There was a nice cross and he lifted it over the bar. But yeah, he played really well, and this was kind of a good first, I guess, kind of play sequence that you were like, okay, this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go, you could tell they were pressing a lot more. And I think that provided a lot of good opportunities for us, but also opened it up for Atlanta, which, led to the chance in about the 11th minute there. I think it's the kind of game that we want to play in. We want to get our forwards and our wingers up there and really be trying to press the attack, and then just have to rely on those back three, particularly Miazga and Robinson and whoever's paired with them back there to kind of step up. And they did for us, thankfully, in those couple chances that Atlanta got. But I think the style of play was much more what you want to see from our team, and led to some success later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got the feeling, I don't know about you guys, but there's some games where you just see the way that we attack or that we're getting chances and you're like, man, we should be dominating this game, with all these opportunities. And good point, defense kind of kept us in it. I thought a really good kind of tinkering by Pat Noonan in this game was actually putting Robinson originally next to Oriano. We see a lot of times Atlanta exposing the width when they play with these high wingers. And, so Oriano isn't caught out on his own. You have a more experienced guy who used to play, let's, be honest, 8 years in Atlanta. So he knows how they're going to attack us. And he probably said, hey, Miles, I need you to slide over. Obviously, we get a Hagelin injury that changes things up a little bit, but at least the first, 30, 40 minutes, I thought that switch was a nice kind of pairing there on that side. So hope to see that moving forward. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah. I think it led to Orlando having the chance that he did in the 28th minute. Buka lays it off to Orlando. I think it was really funny that sequence. We were like, come on, just come on, like come on, keep hustling,
Looked a little
because he was
slow getting
yeah
over to
he
it.
was on the left side there. But man, what a shot chance he had. Like I didn't think he was gonna go near post or didn't really have room, but he hits the post on the near post, and I mean it was a really great chance. Unfortunately, it didn't really drop to Kubo, who was right in front of goal. Just took an awkward bounce off the post, but that was another great chance that we had in the first half.
Yeah, that was one of those, a millimeter either way. It bounces right to Kubo, or it just bounces off the post and in, and he hit it in the exact wrong spot, but worked out in the long run.
Sam, you made a great point. I mean, having that switch maybe with Robinson frees up Oriano to get forward more. Is it a situation last year with Barriala and Mascara where Mascara could cover his back and say, hey, I got you, man. Go up there, do your thing. I think that's something to be said about that. But to your guys' point, I mean, half an inch one way or the other for what, 3 different opportunities in the first half, and it would be 2-3-0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are millimeters away at that point. The next thing that happens, though, in that half is the Hagelin injury, and it creates this point of contention, and we'll get into talking about it a little bit here, but Hagelin goes in for this tackle. The guy is, I think, on his half, and Hagelin kind of goes over him and gets hit. At the time, he goes down kind of awkwardly. I think he grabs his left leg, which is the non-surgical side. He had his surgery on his right hamstring. But then the play continues quick. Like there was no real stop of the ball. I couldn't really tell if there was an advantage situation. It leads to this deflected shot in our box. And I have to say, Miles Robinson puts his body on the line. But it creates this situation where there's this new rules that we're implementing now. And the player has to come off the field in a timely manner, or else they're going to be out for 2 minutes. But it seemed to be a little bit off on what they communicated to the team from what I'm hearing and what actually was reported. I mean, at the time, you're losing Hagelin, you're losing Robinson together in that 2-minute period. They did give us the ability to bring Murphy in, so you had him, but it was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Is that the right moment to be calling that? But a concussion, they're allowed to come right back into the game without waiting 2 minutes. Like I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. There should be like I don't know a sympathy clause or something. I don't. Come on, like he's
Yeah.
actually injured. But yeah, it was a weird injury he had. Obviously, he looked really disgruntled as he was walking off the field. But later, it was reported that it was just a bone bruise that was diagnosed. So hope he's good to go for future games. But yeah, I think the 15-second rule is I like it's one of those situations where the MLS is thinking in the right direction, right? They're like, okay, we want the game to continue to move. I don't know if it's going about it the right way though.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's nothing I hate more in any sport than someone rolling around trying to kill the clock or for whatever reason, or trying to get, in baseball, trying to take a couple extra seconds to get your relief pitcher, a couple more throws in the bullpen. So I like the principle behind the call, but when it goes against us like this, it's kind of hard to justify and hard to agree with. But and it was just hard too because we had so much going on one play essentially, or very close back to back plays. Um, so it was just hard. I was almost wondering, are we going to be down to just Miazga for 2 minutes? And thankfully, like you said, they were able to bring on the sub. And it seems like by the time that Robinson actually did get on, he wasn't out probably for like the full 2 minutes of actual play. So um, not no harm, no foul in the long run, but it was just kind of a weird call at the time.
It was, I think, the start of the trend of strange calls by this ref, which we'll get into later on. But as we go into half, 0-0 again, guys. No goals in the first half for, I don't know. We've had 9 games this year, probably 8 or 9. I would maybe even all of them we haven't scored in the first half, but created chances, and looked a lot better, a lot more flow. But on the flip side, looked a lot more open of a game and was more end to end. I mean, how many times what did I say to you guys when we were watching? This is the Pat Noonan game where he's saying, slow it down. He put his hands down. Like everyone was very frantic and energized, which was good to see. But does it create some opportunities, sporadic, points where we're kind of scrambling? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
little bit of scramble going on,
I could
but
agree
it
with
wasn't
that.
horrible.
Yeah, no.
As we get into the second half, though, when we started off again fairly strong, you get 55th minute, Baird hits the post with his header. He gets into a good opportunity. He kind of like created a Vasquez-esque opportunity, I would say, with it, where he kind of just gets something on it and flicks it to the back post. It beats Guzan, and all of these, it beats Guzan. Oriano's shot, it beats Guzan. The one he just puts wide in the first half. I mean, all of them. I don't think he had a really like good save to be had other than like us hitting the post. So you see our shots on target and you're like, okay, I feel like we had more. And I don't know if they include the ones off the woodwork or not, because we have 2 goals and then you have 2 that hit the post and it's saying on, Foot Mob that it's 3, shots on target. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So not really sure about that. But shortly after that, guys, and I was really upset, and this always happens. We get this really good opportunity, you hit the post. 4 minutes later, Atlanta scores, and you see Yakamaki's getting warmed up, and you're like, oh my gosh, here comes this big goal scorer who punished us last year. I think Sam had mentioned while we were watching. It comes off a situation where they come down Yedlin's side. I think Obi gets pulled over to track. I think Caleb Wiley is who it was, and it left a hole for Almada just to rip it from outside the box. And he does well. I don't think Khan can do anything about it. It was placed perfectly.
Yeah, it is one of those things, right? We were talking about it. I was like, oh geez, like it'd be FC Cincinnati-esque if they just, scored right after we just had another great chance. But yeah, I mean, it was a classic Almada goal. No one marking Almada. Just an open curling shot. Buka doesn't slide over. I think that's the biggest thing there is Buka doesn't really it doesn't hit him in his cognitive like, oh, that's Thiago Almada, one of the best players in the MLS. I should probably slide over a little bit more and a little bit quicker. I'm not gonna say that's on Obi, because if you look at Obi, like the man's running around with his head cut off. Like he's really trying and working hard, and he was trying to cover two guys at once, and he got there late. But him and Yedlin were going after the same player, which maybe that's on Obi, because Yedlin should have that locked down, so you don't really need to worry about that as much. But yeah, I just it's tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, our coverage definitely. I'd have to rewatch it to figure out where the exact gaps were. But I mean, credit to Almada. It was a beautiful goal. Had one shot and absolutely nailed it. So not much you can do about it except for move on. And thankfully, that's what FC Cincinnati did.
Yeah, I mean, they've learned from earlier in the year just not to get too like disgruntled about it. It was a situation where like unfortunately my head goes to how many games in a row now are we going down and we have to try to climb back into the game? Is it going to be, 80, 90th minute where we're trying to really claw one back just to get a point out of it? But yeah, like you guys said, credit to us, 62nd minute. This is interesting, guys. The Atlanta coach had mentioned after the game that they had practiced this corner in training. And I don't know if it's something that Lucho saw. The pass from the corner was under hit, and Lucho just times it perfectly to intercept it. It creates a break. You see Oriano sprinting down the middle of the field. I will have to say a little bit faster than in the first half's one. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to miss this one. I'm going to get this one on the break. So plays it to him, takes a nice touch, slots it in the corner. Again, can we get Oriana more involved in the offense? He looked very comfortable in that moment. My second thought to that on the break was, it was his first FCC goal. I mean, we were going to mention that. I think he had one earlier on in the season that had gotten called back. So shout out to Oriana.
Yeah, Oriano has now become the sixth first-time goal scorer for FC Cincinnati this season, which is really cool, to have that many players score their first goal. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like the way he takes players on and can finish is what our forwards aren't doing, right? So Kubo's doing a really good job of that, and now Orlando is doing a really good job of that. We just need to see him push up a little bit further, and maybe we'll see that in further games. I know having Miles on his side to start was a great idea because Miles can cover a lot of ground. But you're giving up a lot of space in between your third center back and Orlando on the side. So I don't know how well that'll be able to work, but it was really good Argentinian play from Acosta and Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just happy for the kid. First goal is a huge deal, and hopefully now that he's maybe got that off his back, he can go put in a bunch more. And his attacking game is just fantastic. We've been talking about it all season. So, hopefully now that he's got one, they come in bunches, and then maybe he can focus on training and stuff on his defensive game a little bit now that he is built up a bit more. His goal scoring prowess has been proven.
Yeah, good point. I mean, like same mold as Barrial, always had the offensive side, just get one in. Now focus a little bit more on your defensive side. He did have one play later on in the match that he tracks back well and actually wins the ball in a 1v1 in our box, actually, when we needed to have that. So credit to him for playing both ways in this game, and I think we'll get into that a little bit later. Funny part about the situation was that everyone thought that it was Baird apparently at first that scored the goal. There was a couple tweets out there that Baird had scored. I think the announcer had called it as Baird, but it's like that's Oriano. Like I saw him pass it with his left foot. I don't think Baird can do that with his left. Maybe he can. I don't know. But shortly after that, I mean, 64th minute, yeah, like 2-3 minutes after, we just get another one off of a beautiful Yedlin backspin ball where I think Baird leaves it brilliantly. Props to him. Honestly, one of his best plays of the game was to leave the ball to Lucho, who was on the run. Guys, same side that he scored last year to win the game winner. Plays it at, Lucho in the box right in front of the goal, one touch into the corner. That's our MVP. What a moment.
Yeah, I mean, what a ball by Yedlin. I think that was the first thing that Lucho didn't even celebrate right away. He just kept pointing at Yedlin because he was like, "What a ball!" Like I didn't even think that you saw me, or could get it to me. But yeah, great finish, nice, easy, left-hand corner of the goal, like just very casual. Was that very thankful that he was just onside as well. Was just in line with the defense. But yeah, and then he gives the all ear celebration, right? So classic.
Yeah, this fantastic goal, fantastic service into Lucho. I feel like that chemistry that we've been missing with Barreal is obviously coming down the other side, but it's good to see a cross goal like that with Lucho finishing it off. It's what we needed in it. Hopefully we can, now that they got a couple games under their belt, the chemistry keeps going and we can see a few more like that as the season goes on.
Good point. I mean, like, look at last year and the quality we had from the wingback position with Arias and Barrial, and all of the goals that we scored recently have been off of, I think, wingers, or Lucho, obviously, but Oriano, Yedlin contributing, Yedlin creating crosses. Like, it's vital right now to our team to get them involved and to have good services. Kind of good stats on this goal. Seventh game winner for Lucho, which puts him still behind Barrial and Vasquez, who have 9 for game winners in FCC history. Guys, now 2 consecutive goals in 3 minutes, the first time since October of 2022. Shout out to Patrick O'Leary, actually, for that stat, the FCC comms department. I thought that was interesting. And going back to the Montreal game, how quickly, in terms of time, Atlanta scores in 59th. We get a goal in 62nd. Literally the same, in the Montreal game, 58th, 62nd. Quick turnarounds on, we get down, we go back really quick and score these goals to get back even, which is a huge confidence boost. And I think they learned from last week and how to capitalize and not kind of fall flat and get scored on, because Yakimakis comes on and doesn't really do much, to be honest. And that's exactly what you want. So the last part of this game, we had some opportunities, I would say. The biggest thing that I was looking at that could have been decisive was a missed foul on Bupenza in the box, that there was no really intention of this ref in calling any fouls, going our way, especially in the box. He gets shouldered down. I mean, maybe the ball's a little bit out of his way. What are your thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really go for the ball too much on that play. Just kind of gives him a shove in the back or in the shoulder or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, towards the end of that game, it was really sloppy and really poorly refed. I feel like both sides, I mean, there really were kind of just some little tiki-taka fouls that could have been called, or should have been called.
Yeah, usually I kind of appreciate when a ref swallows their whistle a bit, but this was a little over the top. Definitely could have been a few more, probably some yellows even, not just, fouls with advantage or whatever, but it ended up working out all right. It just frustrates you when the other team is kind of beating on your players, trying to get something going for their side while they're down, and the ref's not giving you the ball back. They're just letting the other team, really beat on you, and it's just kind of, you wish you'd see some cards come out on that situation.
Yeah, and it could have been a dangerous part of the game, or even playing on turf. You never know if you're going to get injuries out of that. We come out unscathed, really. It sounds like, and as Sam mentioned, Hagelin just with a bone bruise is huge. So, in the game, man, 2-1, I'll take this huge bounce back win. That puts us now 4 wins, I believe 3 ties and 2 losses. So 15 points overall, third in the East, 7th overall in the Shield standing, but we're honestly only a point or 2 off. And I think we have 1 game in hand with Inter Miami, who's in first right now, too. So I'm feeling pretty good coming out of this game. Some miscellaneous things that I kind of saw. Shout out to Alvis Powell, 200th MLS regular season appearance. He had played, I think, only in a few games earlier on this season. It was good to come in and see some experience at the end of the game to shut things out, which we really haven't had an opportunity to do the last several games. We had less possession in this game, guys. Another thing I wanted to touch on, even though it was so free flowing, we didn't have a retained possession as much. Did you guys agree that we didn't see as much lollygagging, passes around the defensive line with the center backs? I felt that wasn't really the case. It was more free flowing this game.
It's very crisp. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a much more, the press in the beginning, and then I think just really just trying to drive the ball forward. And I think that's the kind of game that they need to play, even if it ends up Atlanta has the longer possession. As soon as we're getting it, we're driving towards the goal. And I think that's the way that FC needs to play.
Yeah, driving to the goal, man. So 35 touches in the opponent's box, second most in the season. 36 against DC United was the other one at home. And I think it was a 0-0 draw, to be honest with you, or 1-1. But 35 touches in the opponent's box, like had many opportunities to score, 19 shots total. So creating these opportunities. But to Kevin's credit on this and saying it, the press was a lot better this game. And I think we all can agree that the Baird and Kubo attention to pressing together was so much better than a Bupenza Baird or a Bupenza and Kubo. You need both strikers to actively kind of be shielding the way the ball is going to one side, and it was a lot more cohesive in this game. So shout out to them. So as we move before a little break here, and a shout out to our sponsor, Sam. Let's hear our trivia question of the week.
Yeah, so as Ryan mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, trivia of the week is going to be FC Cincinnati are unbeaten on turf in their last 10 games. So when was the last time they lost on turf? Kevin, we'll start with you.
So I did do a quick bit of research on how many teams actually play on turf for this one. I believe there was like 6 or 7 across the league. And one of them is New England Revolution. And I remember in our when they were playing them recently, they were talking about the record against New England Revolution and that they lost a lot to them, pre 2022. So I'm going with 2021 against or at the Revolution would be my guess for their last loss on turf.
Ryan?
I'm going to go 2022, and I'm going to go Atlanta because I think we actually did get a loss down in Atlanta at one point, even though Pat's been pretty decent down there.
Okay. We got 2 great answers, 2 turf answers, so you guys are right on the turf part. We'll see what the answer is on the other side.
Hey, FC Cincinnati fans. We are pumped to share our new sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
I'm sipping on the passion fruit margarita, which is so spicy, and it makes me feel like I'm on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'm drinking the Blood Orange Spritz, which has a great subtle ginger flavor coming from its scientifically formulated recipe to promote exercise recovery, enhance relaxation, and support a better night's sleep.
Ryan, that's exactly why I love them. Their cocktails are designed to fit seamlessly into your health-conscious lifestyle, giving you the enjoyment of a delicious adult drink without the downsides of alcohol.
Guys, next time you are looking for that post-workout drink or an afternoon pick-me-up, grab a Peak Cocktail. Visit them at www.peakcocktails.com and use the code FLYINLION at checkout to get 20% off your first order. Zach, enjoy your drink.
Welcome back, everyone. We have a fun episode. Guys, we're back in the win column. FCC gets a nice win against Atlanta. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap about that game. Second half of this episode is going to be some good stuff, some rumors, guys coming into the team, a lot of Kevin talk. So for all those who are interested in Kevin's, keep listening. But we'll get into some cards of the week here first. Sam, what was your card of the week?
Yeah, my card of the week, soft yellow, nothing too, card worthy to be honest with you. But you had mentioned earlier in the podcast, but the broadcast saying Corey Baird scored rather than Orellano. They were saying it was building all night for him, which it was, but he never got the goal. It was Orellano, and then they continue to add to that by saying, weight being lifted off of his shoulders. Unfortunately, it's still there. So the funny thing is like the inconsistency of a lot of the Apple TV broadcasts is really funny sometimes. And we've seen it throughout the season. And we'll probably continue to see it until they get names right and graphics right and everything else.
Yeah, my card actually is kind of in conjunction with that. Mine is whoever cursed Baird. I feel like, when he came to the team, I was talking online with some fans from his old team, and they were, going over how he's kind of streaky. He's got a lot of talent, and he's obviously he's played fantastic for us. I think today or this game was one of his better games in a white jersey for us. And he pissed off a witch or something, and he's just been so snake bit. Hopefully, he gets one soon, and then they come in droves. But I don't know what he did, who he made mad, but they really are doing a number on him. So hopefully, when he gets one, they gets a lot. So
There's a common theme in soccer, especially for strikers. You know, you go through droughts, but I feel like, dude, I don't know what, like you said, Baird's in the desert or something, because this guy can't get anything. I think, Sam, to your tweet and what you said during the game was true, is like, what's going on? We need to do some detective work to see why this ball and why the post hates Baird. I thought that was kind of funny. But my card of the week, I had one, and it was going to be about the subs and not understanding, like, when, do we get to have subs for the injuries, or how long do they have to be off the field? I'm actually going to go with the FCC Cincinnati 2, the white kits, and it's not the card of what you're thinking. I love the kits. They're beautiful kits, but why can't we buy them? I would love to buy the white kits. Sam had put out a tweet today about these kits. Go and check it out. They are awesome. I wish we could apply these every year, or to have this. I would say it's a college look, like you said, and that's a nod to the youngsters. I think you even had said that as well. So shout out to you for this. But I want to buy these jerseys. They're really cool.
Yeah, I think the college look, it gave me vibes of, like I said, college, maybe like a Hoosiers look, or even like with the orange, like Syracuse or something like that. I know Duke has similar jerseys that they've done, where it's got like the horizontal stripes. So all those storied programs do something similar. But yeah, everybody was kind of asking, yeah, I've tried to buy these and I have no idea, where to get them or how. But I think somebody in our comments had told us that, unfortunately, I think he was a Crew fan, but thank you for the info. He had said apparently the MLS teams don't really allow other merchandise other than, if it's a different brand, right? So if we were to become the Commonwealth United or whatever is out there right now that, FCC2 may become, then we would be allowed to buy it. But since it's the same brand, it's just FCC2, it's not really available for purchase.
All right, I have
if
a
they do
plot.
become available, Sam, we're going to wear them at the same time.
Yes, just like this.
Guys, I
And
have
we're
a
not going to
plot.
tell Ryan. Yeah.
Let's go to the FCC2 games and ask one of the players for the jersey.
Yeah, jersey swap.
Jersey swap
Done.
could
Yeah.
be an option. I think that's a good way to go. Speaking of jersey swaps, Sam, what was your jersey swap of the week?
Yeah, jersey swap of the week. Wanted to go with DeAndre Yedlin on this one. He had 1 assist on the match, second most touches behind Lucho in the match as well. Led the team with 6 shot creating chances, and led the team in passes with 48. Was actually the only FC Cincinnati player to cross a ball into the penalty area during this game, and he did it 3 times. So he was creating a lot of chances for us. Has been really, really good for FC Cincinnati, bringing a lot of leadership and a lot of chance creation from that right side. Because I know losing Arias this season, we weren't really sure what we were going to get, and then he's really been able to fill that hole.
Arias who?
My jersey
Pretty
swap,
much.
I'm going to go with Luca heading over to the other side of the field. Obviously, first MLS goal, huge deal, super exciting for the young guy. Hope there's more.
Yeah, great shout. I mean, from both of you, I felt like these were the best 2 players besides Lucho, too, obviously, just with getting the stats. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about, again, both of the wing backs. Look how important that they were in this game. And I joke about saying Arias who. I love Arias, but like I felt like Yedlin's fit in so well and has been such a veteran presence out there. If it weren't for having Miazga and Robinson and all of these other guys who are captain worthy, I mean Yedlin would be up there, and he's done well gelling with Lucho. I don't know if you guys can appreciate that as much as I have too. Sam, you're nodding your head. I think we've talked about it before, right?
Yeah, he respects the other better Argentinian number 10. I think that's what it is.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, he moved to another team and went, oh my gosh, like I just got an even better Argentinian number 10 who's younger and he plays just as like, come on, it's a no brainer. But yeah, the chemistry has definitely been there with him and Acosta. I think it's just level of play. They kind of just understand each other. They play at a high level, and they kind of expect that.
Yeah, I mean that's why I made, Lucho was my jersey swap of the week. Goal and assists, 43 goals in club history, now tied with Brandon Vasquez for the record for FC Cincinnati. Shout out to him for that. I've been looking a deep dive into MLS history, guys. Lucho is borderline top 10 in assists in MLS history. He's coming up on it here soon. He's moving up the ranks for 60 goal and 80 assists total, in MLS. He's working his way up that. I think he's 7th or 8th now too, but made the match day week. I felt like both gentlemen you guys shouted out should have been honorable mentions for that too, because they did well. And for Pat to go down into Atlanta and to get a win after 2 straight losses, honorable shout out to Pat too. We have to say he's never lost 3 games in a row in FCC colors. So just huge again that we get a bounce back, and we're very happy about that. Guys, we're building on this win, and then we get better news. It's always on Saturday mornings, apparently, that we get this transfer information before the game, actually. So I wanted to kind of shelter my expectations. I wasn't sure if these rumors were true. After we win, then I'm deep diving trying to see, is this true? Is this legit? But we brought Kevin Eversole into this podcast because we get Kevin Kelsy is our lone rumor right now that's being confirmed. The club is just yet to confirm it officially, but it's all but confirmed. He's in Cincinnati. It was originally a rumor that was put out on Saturday after this follow-up that we've seen for months now about Kevin Kelsy, but $700,000 loan that we'll have to pay, an option to buy for around $7 to $8 million, which we can talk about. Sam, what are your opinions on this overall?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for both, right? So he had been expressing that he wanted to go to the MLS, because right now he has not been getting the minutes like he was in the first half of the season with Shakhtar, and so this is a great opportunity for him to kind of reinvigorate his career, and get it back on the right track. And who better to help than the reigning defending, Shield champions. So I think this is a good move for both. We're missing out on that big hold up striker, because, Vasquez left us. And so we really haven't had that player to lean on up top. So being 19 years old, he's going to be, I mean, there's going to be some, probably some growth moments where you're like scratching your head. But I mean, I think that just comes with youth. But he played in the Champions League and the Europa League this year. Like he's got experience playing with top level quality, similar to with Buka. So I'm really excited to see how he does with the squad, and he's only coming in for 700K, right? So I don't really know if we'll end up buying him, but he's definitely going to be a big help here.
Yeah, I think it's a great move. Obviously, young guys, so you never fully know what you're going to get. But I've been calling all year that we need help in the striker position. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be our savior, that this is going to take us to be in, immediately a Shield team again. We'll have to see how he does in the first couple games, but I think it's a good move at a good time. Puts a little pressure on the strikers that we currently have on the roster. And if it doesn't perfectly line up, then, we still have the summer transfer window to really bring someone else in if we need to make a big move still. And if it ends up being fantastic for the club, then, all the better for us. So I'm excited. Yeah. It'll be cool to see how much time he gets in the next couple weeks.
I would agree with both of you. I mean, all around a solid option. It's a low risk, possibly high reward opportunity. I mean, if you think about, like Sam said, 19, so could be super good where we go and we trigger this option and we buy him, or doesn't play as well and we just send it back to his club. Like it is a good opportunity. I think the time that it's been spent to try to get this guy, there was 3 failed negotiation offers, is probably based on the option. I'm sure Albright was trying to do some wizardry like, hey, this guy's contract's going out soon. You guys are going to have to lose him for free. Like, how about, 4 or 5 million? And I think 7 to 8 is pushing it a little bit high, but I think if it pans out, that'd be great. He's 6'4", he's physical, he wins balls in the air. Sam, Yedlin has 3 balls into the box this game, and You have Baird that headed one, but the other ones and on set pieces, who else have we had consistently up there to win those?
And that goal that he scored in the Champions League was over none other than Mr. Physical himself, Pepe, for Porto. So, I mean, we've got a big physical guy up top who's taking on guys like that. I think we're good. But I will say is a very good pull. But the big drawback for me is he hasn't played a club game in 2024, right? So for all of Shakhtar's games in 2024, he's been either on the bench or not in the squad at all, right? So the only games that he has played have been Olympic qualifying matches for the U23 teams for Venezuela.
That's an interesting stat. I didn't realize he hadn't played. So, I mean, to all of our questions, I'm sure all of FC Cincinnati land wants to know, is he available against Colorado? Well, as Sam kind of said, it depends on how fast he gels, but a lot of it probably comes down to how fast can he get up to fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to, get him a couple weeks of training in before you see him, and then maybe an off the bench appearance, and then see how he does, adjusting to the MLS before he's our new number one striker. But hopefully he becomes that. I won't complain if he does.
Have you ever had another Kevin that you've been interested in professional sports? This could be your guy.
I feel like Blackhawks have a guy, Kevin Korchinski right now, who's one of their new defensemen. So there you go.
All right.
I feel like when I used to play backyard soccer 2001, there was a Kevin that I would always pick up for my team, but it's been a little while since I played that game. So I'll have to go do some research on that and see what Kevin that happened to be, 20 years ago now.
This could be your guy. I'm telling you,
hopefully.
could be your guy. He's got a connection, guys, to our assistant coach, Ricardo Paez, assistant coach for FCC, is Venezuelan. Seemed to follow him on Instagram. I was looking back a couple weeks ago even. So they might have had some connection there and talked to him. Hey, this is a good opportunity for you to get more minutes. You kind of fit this position that we've been needing. So like Kevin had mentioned earlier, is competition in the striker room is never a bad thing when your guys haven't really been doing it as much. And for a young guy, he's got to come in and fight for his spot. I don't think you give it to him right away because it's a loan, and you don't have to necessarily play him a certain amount of games. Now, that's questionable. I don't know that for sure, but in some situations on a loan, you're required to play X amount of games. So that could be a situation. But guys, we were talking about this during the game. Has this been the most amount of loans we've seen for a single team in the MLS history? Like, I can't remember outbound loans, inbound loans. Like, we've done some in MLS early on, but in one season, he's really utilizing the loan option right now to create open spots for us. And I think you might see more MLS teams start to kind of go off the same if they're going to really restrict roster rules. That might be the outlet to go.
Yeah, I can only imagine you're talking about the Venezuelan connection. It makes me think a little bit like Moreno would have stayed, right? Lucho, Orlano, Moreno, Kelsy. Like, how cool would this have been? But we'll take the connection that he'll hopefully have with Lucho up top, be able to mold him into the striker that Lucho wants up top, because whatever Lucho wants is probably best for the team. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Does Junior Moreno have something to say about Kevin Kelsy? Did that help in the clubs picking him out? I'm not sure. That would be interesting to see. But Kevin, I want to give you a special spotlight. It's been a little bit since you've been on the pod. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of weeks were rough. Like you said earlier in the pod, it's your attitude for the week kind of depends on FC soccer a little bit. So this week has been nice to be back in the win column. I think overall they're doing great, especially for how many new players they have. We're third overall in the East right now, but if they drop the next match, there's 3 teams that could jump them. So it seems like they're, doing really well. They just need to find another gear. Otherwise we could see ourselves, I don't think falling out of a playoff spot, but definitely being lower in a playoffs standings, which then you're going to play, obviously a better team come the end of the season. So I'd like to see him find another gear. I think that, like I said, we need to figure out the striker room a little bit, and hopefully, adding a little more competition and Kevin Kelsy helps. And if not, hopefully they can make a big move. I think all the pieces that they have brought in have, met or exceeded expectations for the most part. I mean, Robinson and Yedlin, obviously he brought in a little bit later in the season. Fantastic, no notes at all. Buka and Luca, they both, advertised. Luca's, got his first goal, like you said, starting to grow defensively a little bit. I'd like to, very interested in watching his development. The surprises, Keller, I think, has been a really good move. He's, I think, getting a little less playing time now that Hagelin's been healthy, but with him going out, we might start seeing him a little bit more. And then Baird, I think, like I said, it was his best game in an FC kit. Hopefully he just gets the curse lifted and he can start burying them for us.
Yeah, great points. I mean, I love the Buka Luka. It should be like a law firm, the Buka Luka law firm.
Yeah, start getting assists back and forth to each other, and it'll, start taking off.
I had asked Sam, I think on the last podcast, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Did you think the formation needs to be changed? Obviously, after this game, we kind of probably lose sight of that, because it did work. But what were your thoughts on that? Kevin, I'll ask you.
I sorry. I think the formation. I really like Pat's system and the formation that we've got. I think, getting the wingers more comfortable. I feel like it's two most crucial positions other than Lucho, obviously, but getting him service in the box and getting service to our strikers. And I think, now that they're settling in a little bit more, it's really, going to be a good system for us. And I think really driving the high press like we did this past game. And really, opening up the game a little bit more, using our speed to kill them and relying on those, really, first-class defense core that we've got to just stop any chances that might come the other way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It almost seems like they're starting to gel in that system a little bit more. He's tinkering with where he's put them. And like I said, the subtle change of having Robinson over with Oriano, I mean, how does that affect the way that he's able to get up? That'll be interesting to see. How does Kelsey's inclusion make this formation really what it had been so successful with? A hold-up striker and a physical striker is probably the better build for this system that way if we need to progress the ball up the field and we don't have as many guys as high up. So really good thoughts, Kev. I appreciate that. As we move on to a couple of our last segments here, FC Cincinnati swept Atlanta, guys. FCC2 won 4-1 in Atlanta again at Kennesaw State. And then the U17s had a nice win, 3-1 against Columbus. And we can get into that a little bit here. But I was just happy to see overall over the weekend, just wins all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Pinto and Dotto, both picked up minutes in the FCC2 win against Atlanta. I think it was just an onslaught, really. I don't think anybody expected FCC2 to beat Atlanta that bad, 4-1. But yeah, I think that was second win of the season for FCC2, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
They've had, a rocky season, really haven't found the goals that they would like, but 4 in one game, we'll take it, right? And then the U17s, arguably the best striker, right, in the U17s, the best by far, with Stefan Chirila. Just, I mean, what a kid, really. What are we waiting for? Let's sign him. Let's get him on the, dotted line so that way no other team can, poach him away from us, because right now he's still an academy guy, right? So he can be poached and signed to whoever.
We've been hearing all this talk about how good Columbus's youth program is, and he gets a hat trick against them. He has a beautiful free kick. He had it on his Instagram that I went and watched, actually. Upper 90 from about 25 out. It's off of his Instagram now. I wonder somewhere on the internet if you can go see it. But came over again from Philly. Now just tearing it apart for U17s. He's gotten some FCC2 time. He's probably going to end up there for the rest of the season, the way he's been going. Another, again, young guy that we can possibly bring in to create competition up top. So that'll be interesting to see, something to look out for.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that, the guys that are usually up with the big club are getting some minutes with FCC too. I know we were all three of us kind of calling for them to get Pinto some minutes. Towards the end of the game, both Buka and Nwobodo are kind of slowing down a little bit. And then instead they do end up pulling Buka out for Bupenza, and then they shift Kubo out, who'd just been running around as striker for the entire match. And he did a fantastic job. I think overall, it, wasn't a bad move, but I would just like to see, Pinto getting some more minutes with the big club.
Yeah, I mean, he had led, I think, FCC in sub appearances last year. Kind of fell out of favor recently, but it's good that they're getting minutes at least, keeping their fitness up, playing in competitive games. Is that the reason why they dominated Atlanta? I mean, you have some guys that have been playing first team minutes and you go in and you play like, I mean, that's good. That's what you want to see, but like how does that translate to the biggest level now? And can we get them more minutes to kind of build? We'll see. It'll be interesting as we go to this next game, match day number 10 total, I believe, against Colorado at home. We're back home after 2 away games. Did decent on the road. Guys, we got to be better at home this year, though. It was a fortress last year at home, but 1-2-1 this year at home so far in the MLS play. Couple more wins with Champions Cup too, but time to go and to get a solid win against the Colorado team that I believe is 5th in the West as well. So not a bad team by any means. Have a lot of new pieces. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we're tied in points with them at 15. I think, Colorado, the last time we played them, was at Colorado last year, and Dominic Baji showed up, right? He was our only goal in that game. But if you remember that game, we had so many chances in that game. We just didn't convert. So hopefully it'll be something similar, but hopefully we convert this time. But you're talking about a new look Colorado team with additions that they really, I mean, they made some loud moves very quickly in the offseason here, getting Zach Stefan, Mihailovic, and then Sam Vines, who came from Antwerp. I think these guys have been great additions for them, obviously, if they're sitting, 4th or 5th in the table in the West, and I mean, really kind of putting their stamp on the season so far, playing really, really well the last couple games. But the one thing I did note is Stefan has only had 1 clean sheet, though, this year. So he allows 1.44 goals per 90, which is relatively high if you look at it for a goalkeeper. So the goals will come. We just got to put them on target and hopefully put them past them.
Yeah, I think Colorado's probably one of the most improved teams in the West from last year to this year. I think their big pieces have really helped them out. So, hopefully it's a nice, warm, sunny Cincinnati day this weekend, and the supporters really show out, and we can just really, get the Bailey rocking and turn it into a fortress again, and really just come in and score a whole bunch of goals on a goalie who might be a little shaky, and just come out with a really strong win.
Yeah, I think that's needed at home coming off of this big win against Atlanta in Atlanta. Let's get back to winning, in this environment. Colorado's unbeaten in their last 4 road games. They had some big wins against LAFC, Real Salt Lake earlier on in the season. So, yeah, with Chris Armas, you're going to get a team that is going to press you high. They kind of have a Red Bulls look to them. Guys, Mihailovic has been a throne, not a throne. He's been a thorn in our side, man. When he played for Montreal, he kind of tore us apart. So I hope we can keep him in check. Look out for Obi versus Mihailovic. That will be kind of my thing to look out for in this game. Guys, I don't know if you saw this. FC Cincinnati's website or the MLS website has us losing already, 0-2. Go and look it up for everyone who's interested in this, at least as of last night. Hope they've changed this because there's got to be hopefully no script out there or something. But it already said that we lost 2-0, which is just weird.
Yeah, that's concerning. I mean, come on. Why are we doing that? Why are we putting out the bad vibes, guys? Come on.
On the real,
Yeah,
though,
whoever did that must be the same person that does graphics for Apple. So hopefully they can get that fixed. Google had us at like a 56 win percentage chance, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that number instead of the whatever mistake was made on FC's website.
You have a score prediction though?
I want to see a lot of goals. I think we go like, I was gonna say 3-1, but I want more than that. I want 4-1. I want him just to start burying them and just to have the entire house just absolutely go nuts. So, well, I'm going crazy. Let's go 4-1.
Sam, what about you?
I'm gonna go 2-0. 2-0 FC Cincinnati.
All right, I'm gonna go 3-1. I'm gonna go along the same lines with Kevin. I really wanted to see if Kelsey's gonna even get a sub appearance. Sam had mentioned Bupenza scored in his debut off the bench. Kelsey goal off of a Yedlin cross would be electric to end the game. Maybe we see a signature celebration for Kevin Kelsey. You know, we have the Bupenza flip. We had the Vasquez Superman. What's this next striker going to bring, you know, for his goal celebration? Any thoughts, guys? I'm kind of interested to see.
I think he should do an homage to the Kelsey brothers and chug a beer or something.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
sick.
I was gonna say he should lose whatever jewelry he has in a vat of Cincinnati chili would be the Kelsey celebration.
The Kelsey way to do it. I love it. I love it. Well, hopefully next week we get a win. Sam, let's hear your trivia question and answer before we close this out.
Yes, sir. So FC Cincinnati are unbeaten on turf in their last 10 games. When was the last time they lost on turf? Kevin, you had said 2021 New England Revolution. And then Ryan, you had said 2022 Atlanta, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
So the answer is 2022, but it was against Charlotte FC. It was the very first game that Charlotte and FC Cincinnati ever played against each other, and it was at Charlotte, March 26th. We ended up losing that game 2-0, and who better to score those 2 goals against us than Swiderski? He scored those 2 goals against us, Mr. Mickey Mouse Swiderski himself. But that would be our trivia of the week right there.
It's a good one. I love it. Also, I think the first game that Barrial had ever played left wing back too. Just kind of a fun fact. I think from that game, there's a lot of things that I remember from that just because it was bad. It was a brutal game. But for all the talk of how bad we've been on turf, I'm surprised that's the last time we lost on turf. Like it's been over 10 games.
Yeah.
We're turning it on its head, you know? That's a good thing.
Yeah,
any closing thoughts for you guys before we close out? What did you say?
I said it continues the narrative. You know, we're I guess an anti-turf club, anti-turf podcast. But going into this next match day, I really look forward to seeing the boys back at home. And hopefully, you know, we'll get a sight of Kelsey. I don't know if he'll even dress or even play, but I think it'd be nice to do a little intro to the fans, something similar to what we've done for other players.
Yeah, I'm just excited to have him back home, and let's just stay in the win column.
What Kevin said, everyone. Let's stay in that win column. Let's keep moving up. We'll see you guys next week.